Welcome back. You're watching KTN Prime. It's the second hour, 1 minute past 10 p.m. Let's continue with our conversation right here, centered on Medic's grievances, as they've just issued a 21-day strike notice today, all to do with a return-to-work formula that they say hasn't been implemented to the latter by the government. I'm joined by the Deputy SG from KMPDU, Dr. Davji. Dr. Dennis Miskela. Karibu sana. Thank you for staying with us. Earlier on, we were just highlighting point by point in terms of the return to work formula and some of the issues where there's any progress, if any. We had talked about payment of basic salary arrears, no progress as of yet, despite the president saying it will be implemented in 2 phases. Payment of interns as per the court order, that's a whole issue altogether, since you've mentioned that the CS word cannot be taken to the bank, that interns still haven't been paid. That's quite unfortunate. Provision of medical insurance, it's still an issue that hasn't been canvassed in totality, especially with the county governments and whatnot. On payment of postgraduate school fees and the payment for postgraduate students for extra work beyond 40 hours. Has there been any progress whatsoever since May on those 2 issues?
So on the postgraduate school fees, what happens is that every time a doctor graduates and they finish their internship and they're licensed, they go to work in the counties as general practitioners. Then after some 2-3 years of work, then government then takes them back to school to specialize, so that instead of being a medical officer, you can become an obstetrician and just deliver women, or you can do pediatrics and just focus on children, or do surgery and be a surgeon, or do surgeon, whatever you decide. So the government knows that they need these specialists, they need these kidney specialists, they need these cancer specialists. Takes people to school, and when you are in school, they pay your school fees and your salary, so that when you graduate, you become a better doctor, you go back and help the people. But from 2019, government of Kenya never paid school fees. So they tell you to go to school, they pay your school fees. You go to Nairobi University or Moi University, and you are studying and you're working, but nobody is paying your school fees. So when the time for sitting for your exams comes, so you can go to the next class and graduate, the university locks you out of the examination because your sponsor, which is the government, has not paid the school fees. So people then are forced to take loans, miss exams and all that. So when we met, the government put aside 200 million to pay all the pendants fee balances. But what do? They paid the fees worth 100 million, then stopped, and the money went back. And the people are still stuck without some people, fees are not paid. So we're like, then what mechanism did they choose to pay some and not pay the rest? That's why the school fees is pending. These same registrars, when they go to school, some people are not lucky enough to secure the government scholarship. So then you go and pay your own school fees, and also you don't have a salary because probably you came from a private sector, or you took an unpaid leave from the counties to go and study by your own self. But when they work in KNH or the MTRH, these people create money, because when if I do a section as a specialist in training, that money is charged 30,000 to SHA, and SHA will pay back KNH that money. But I will never see any single shilling out of that money. And we told them that, look here, learning, if I'm learning to do a cesarean section, I maybe need to do 100 or 1,000. Anything beyond that is not work. So if you tell me that I need to work learn for 40 hours, on 8 to 5 every day, but you make me work 24 hours the whole week, I hit those 40 hours within the first 2 days, then you should pay me for any extra work. And we agreed and decided that they'll only work for the required time for learning. Then any extra work that they do, you'll pay them. They have not done that. They now owe them almost 300 million. These same hospitals don't offer these people medical cover. So you work in KNH or MTRH, when you fall sick, you cannot go to the hospital where you work. I have a friend who came from the Gambia, a lady, and during on duty, she fell sick as a gynecologist in training. And she could not even get to the gynecology clinic where she works in. In MTRH, when COVID came and there was the vaccines, I know is record that MTRH vaccinated even their drivers before vaccinating the registrants. Because the management said that these are not our workers. So that's how badly they treat these people. That's why Dr. Timothy had to die. Because they're a diabetic patient who has not eaten for 48 hours. There's no place to eat. You can't step out. And you saw in the media how their supervisors remarked that that's the way it is. You must toughen up. We must stop this culture, this toxic workplace, because every time a doctor is at risk, the patient is at risk. When you are going to that table, you trust that your family has prayed for you.
Yeah.
But more importantly, as a patient, you trust that the doctor going to cut you is a doctor who is well motivated, well compensated, and well remunerated. But this government want to sing for you. That SHA is working. That we have this UHC aeroplane agenda. We are told, board the plane. Let's board the plane. It has fuel. It has tires.
Pilot.
But they don't tell you that the pilot is starving, hungry, underfed, has not slept. This pilot is suicidal. How safe is the patient if the doctor is not safe?
That's a valid question, but we definitely have to ask. At the end of the day, it seems you're coming from a point of, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. This time round, how will you negotiate with the government, bearing in mind they have reneged on the promises that were made during the return to work formula signing? How exactly will you negotiate? Because it seems you're hell-bent on ensuring that the return to work formula is implemented to the latter. Well, negotiations, you give room and you take room. So how exactly will this go about?
No, this time round, the government has made our work very easy, because this is the first strike that we don't have to negotiate. All I just need is to go demonstrate and mobilize my members to keep off work and communicate to Kenyans and explain to them why we are out, and watch back and see what the government will do. Why do I say so? We cannot negotiate over negotiation. We already negotiated in 2017, came with a collectively bargained agreement. They didn't implement it. We again negotiated in May this year. We had a return to work formula on that other agreement. They didn't implement it. So you want me to again negotiate over negotiation? Makes no sense. Only a fool does the same thing and expects different results.
But the Kenyans were seated and thinking, I mean, it's unprecedented. 2 strikes in 1 year. Come on, can these doctors at least...
Yes, and that's the question I asked earlier on, that you don't have to hate Kenyans as a government to put them through what you're putting them. You might think you're punishing the doctors. But no. It is that woman tonight who has a child running fever. Probably she's a mama for somewhere in Kilimani. Who has to ask herself every time we go on strike that, do I take this child to KNH and kill the whole day? And these other children have to starve because I want to go and do my laundry business? Or do I go do my mama for a job in Kilimani, then I come back and my child is dead? Those are the questions Kenyans face every single day in their homes. And someone to think that they're punishing doctors or settling scores with the union, you are not. Thirdly, is that these doctors are your children. When these young kids are dying, like the one who died in Kisii was among the top students in 2017, I think, in exams. So these are your children. How do you go tell those kids in Form 4 doing KCSE that work hard and be a doctor? Work hard to be what? In this country, these kids, the only mistake was being disciplined and working hard. And on TV, they are carried and they say they have to be neurosurgeons. This very, very country today is telling them that they don't need them after 7 years of training. We must get to a point that, if not for anything else, let us learn to have a culture of respecting hard work. Let us not bastardize intellect.
So what's the bare minimum from the union? Are there any issues that you think, okay, if the government ticks these boxes, then we're willing to go back to work?
Yes. We have always been bending backwards.
Okay. What's the bare minimum?
In fact, you saw when we called off the strike last time, the kind of backlash we got from our members. We were accused of being compromised because they felt that we had bent back too much.
Okay.
You get that? And right now, we have dropped, they said that we had put so many issues that are getting confused. Right now, we only have one demand. So what is a bare of a bare minimum? We only one demand, just leap a daily, pay what you owe us.
Simple.
That's all you're asking. Pay the intern what you owe them, pay the registers what you owe them, pay the doctors what you owe them in the salary arrears. Just pay what you owe. That's all. You're not demanding for anything else.
By
all the demands.
By when you start the strike?
The strike
should have paid
on 23rd of December. We want to see if this government cares for Kenyans or not. I want to see them dancing on the state banquets over Christmas as Kenyans die in their numbers in the hospital. And every single death on the healthcare workers, every single death of Kenyans that will occur because of the intransigence of the government and its negotiators will be squarely blamed on them. And I want also to say this, that at the end of it all, as a country, we must not have to fight all the time to get things done. You saw the other day with the lecturers. You go into an agreement, they sign it, and they disobey it by evening. They have to go back to the streets again. when will this culture of lies ever end? Why negotiate for 56 days if you know you won't honor it? They just save Kenyans the drama and give us a false promise on the second day of the strike. Sign it and go back and ignore it. Then put us through 56 days of pain and hunger and you don't implement it.
Has there been any goodwill from the government, perhaps ever since you gave the intention to strike, or perhaps since May when you stopped the 56-day strike? Who's the highest ranking government official that you've been engaging with, or is it simply junior officers who have been sent to the negotiating table?
Jesse, sometimes I wish I had a goodwill-o-meter where I could be able to measure what goodwill is. Sometimes I pray that I had an X-ray eye that I could see through the heart of government employees or those bosses when we argue, debate them.
Yeah.
But the human heart is deceiving. So you'll meet people, and we have met very many people, and they come with very, very flowery promises. But the official engagement that we have had as per the court order have been formatives, and all of them were junior officers who on every single corner were saying that they don't have the powers to make binding decisions.
Okay.
In fact, at one point we told them that we know you claim that the country is going through so much hardships. Bring for us the budget of Ministry of Health for the last 7 years and show us how over time you have gotten a shrinking budget and why you are struggling. Then tell us what you have for us and we work it for you, how we can divide it. They refused. They said that we are not authorized to share in government documents. So how do you want us to engage? We even asked them that show us the job evaluation reports from SRC that came with the 70,000, because in 2017 when we came to the 206,000,
okay,
SRC did a evaluation.
Okay.
So show another report which is going to now.
All right, let's just listen into what the Health Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Deborah Barasa, had to say in regards to the government disbursing monthly stipends and accrued arrears for doctor interns and other cadres to the tune of 965 million Kenya shillings. Listen in.
Of Health is pleased to announce the successful payment of monthly stipends and accrued arrears to nursing officers interns, clinical officer interns, medical officer interns, and pharmacist interns. This marks a significant milestone in our commitment to support healthcare professionals at the foundation of their career while strengthening Kenya's healthcare system. A total of 965,875,345.60 Kenya shillings has been disbursed to interns. The amount comprises 528,615,125.60 Kenya shillings in arrears payment and 110,668,070 Kenya shillings in regular payment for nursing and clinical officer interns. This payment ensures that all posted interns in their specified cadres receive their dues without delay, demonstrating the ministry's dedication to addressing the welfare of healthcare workers. The internship programs are a critical component of Kenya's healthcare system, providing hands-on experience to bridge the gap between theory and practice.
Okay, Health CS, just recently speaking about government disbursing money. According to KMPDU, that money hasn't hit the accounts yet. I don't know if it's a case of 3 working days. Has there been any communication to this matter? Because when the government says they've disbursed the money and you say the money hasn't hit the accounts, then where is the money?
You know, first of all, we don't even know what they're paid for. Because the SRC circular that they're claiming that they're using to pay was declared unlawful by the courts. So I don't know if they're paid stipends, they have done tax reimbursements, we don't know. But more importantly, that we are wondering that why can't you tell us how much you paid us? Because you hear them say that we have fully paid the salaries. But when I saw they paid like almost 358 million for our members, and we have 1,100 interns. We divide that math, is a gross salary of 70,000. But what will finally hit the account is 41,000. So we are still waiting to see that money, if it will ever come. Okay. But what we know that in itself is breaking the court's orders. And we've asked them that, look here.
What did the court say, first of all? Because I was looking at articles earlier on. They say High Court upheld SRC's directive on the rate of stipend for healthcare interns, dismissing 5 petitions that sought to overturn SRC's decision on grounds of discrimination and alleged overreach.
So, Jesse, the only thing I trained on is how to be a doctor and how to be trustworthy. So that every time a patient is sitting across the table, they trust that the condition that I'm diagnosing them with is a truth condition, that the drug that I'm giving them will not kill them, that when they raise any complaint on the treatment, I will hear them. So the training of doctors is about trust. You trust that the patient, the story they're telling you that is making them suffer is a true story.
Yeah.
So it's not for me to come here and start lying and tell you he said, she said. All I can tell you that when SRC first gave the okay to 2017 collective bargaining agreement, KMPD was demanding for interns we paid 357,000 as of what we agreed in 2013. The government disobeyed that agreement, and that's why we went to strike for 100 days back then. And SRC did a job evaluation of what interns do.
And union officials.
And the report is there.
Yeah.
That says that the work they do is worth 206,000 from SRC. And that is a figure that we adopted and deposited in court 7 years ago. And they paid that money for the last 6 years. But come this year, one day, the former minister Nakumita wakes up and says that, no, you guys are earning too much. We are going to move your salary from 200,000 to 40,000. Get that? And that's what the court said, that the advice that the court said that it is okay for the ministry to seek advice from the SRC. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. And we have the letter on that. And we also know that SRC told them that we cannot reduce this salary because the 206 was our document. You tell us what has changed with the interns and what they do that warrants them to take this cut. Number two, we don't know how much to quit their work, because in our opinion, it was what? 206. And the minister called for a meeting and gave the figure of 70,000. Basically, the money that she had, she divided by the number of interns and said, go earn 70. So we have asked them in this negotiation that, show me the job evaluation that ministry did or SRC did to value what we do at 70,000. More importantly, we told MOH that you sought advice rightfully to SRC. Can you tell them in writing that the ministry, the courts have found that the advice is in conflict with an existing contract? Kindly advise us. Again, they refused. But more importantly, they said that they don't have money. Let us do math, because sometimes numbers don't lie, although I know people use numbers to lie. Look here, we spent 80 billion Kenya shillings to pay health workers in this country. Interns do 27 to 30% of the work done by human resources for healthcare in this country. If you take that 30% of that 80 billion worth of work they do, it's around 26 billion, 27 billion. The only money interns are asking for is 5 billion. So they're doing work worth 26 billion and only spending 5 billion. Yet we are fighting for a program that even saves you 21 billion. So why do we have to fight over 1 billion shillings?
Tell me this then, because SRC position is this: interns are considered in training and not full employment. That stipend is aligned with the Ministry of Health's budget, and there's a limit since a 9.6 billion shilling shortfall was reported. Why is it that you think interns are being exploited, yet government is arguing from a point of view that these guys are trainees, first of all, that it's standard practice across the public service for an intern to get, is it gross 70 and then net 40, around there about? Argue that out.
You know, I feel sad that today I have to sit here and defend the work that interns do in this country. Because I've been a doctor now for almost 11 years. And one of the toughest times of my life was when I was an intern. We'd work 36 hours non-stop, and right now they work all the time. Every time you go to a hospital, the first person you'll be interacting with is an intern. Okay. And I don't think they come with bandages on their foreheads, written trainee. When you sit there with malaria, they tell you have malaria, take this drug and you go home. When SHA is paying, they don't pay that. No, we won't pay this because I trainee for this patient. They do surgeries. These people work. In fact, the counties have stopped hiring. Most counties right now, the numbers of doctors in public service are dropped by almost 200 doctors. Those who die, those who retire, those who leave. They don't replace them, because one county even said that, why should I hire a medical officer when you have interns with you? So they work. And that's why when they withdraw their labor, the systems feel the pinch. If it was students, then you would say that when they work, there's somebody backing them up. But that's not the issue. It's just a case of, even if you call them junior doctors, whether you call them what, they still remain doctors. Rose would never lose its scent by any other name. So if that call them students, it's okay. But I know very well that if you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. Or when the hyena wants to eat her children, they say that they smell like goats. So then we call them students, or even call their salaries stipends, but they have even personal numbers. The other day I was shocked that they even have personnel numbers that all the government employees have. So are they not your workers when they have payroll numbers? So you can't have your cake and eat it. That's why people say that the culture of lies and dishonesty must stop. We are not here to argue with government who is right, who is wrong. We're just saying that honor our agreement. No matter how bad it was, that's what we want. And if you feel, and we are open, we are genuine people, if you feel that there's a problem and the country is struggling, we can't afford, then let's have a conversation as whole workers in government and say that we are all taking a 5% pay cut, right from the top to the bottom. But to target one single innocent person and give them a 70 to 80% pay cut, where is the justice? We are willing to sit back with government after they have paid this lot of doctors and their grievances, and we say that moving forward, can we have a wiggle space of a give and take? We are willing, after we finish with this current lot, to have a discussion on what can give, what can take. But one side cannot just imagine that from nowhere. They can bully their ways. Days of bullying people into working are long gone. You can't force me. The only way as a worker in this country that I can force a stubborn government to come to the table and talk to us is by withdrawing our skills and labor. Okay. That is the only power we have. You can sack us, you can jail us, but you can never take the power that I'm a doctor and you're not.
Interesting. So as we speak today, medical interns or doctors still giving their services in various hospitals. They've withdrawn.
Last week we told,
even before the 23rd.
Yes. I'm not going to sit back and watch these young, bright individuals die because the government has chosen to be heartless.
Okay.
We have already lost 3. How many more will have to die for me to tell them, hey, stay back? Even when we were waiting for them to be posted for almost 10 months, they didn't die because they were home with their loved ones. They're able to eat their meal that they have at home. Right now, they're starving at the workplace with no social support, being overworked, with no money. And you want me to sit back and tell them that, hold on to hope. Hope is ever a strategy.
Okay, interesting. I'd like you to give a message to the relevant authorities who might be watching, and it might go as high up as the head of state, who you engaged with not too long ago, roughly 7 months ago, and agreed on a return to work formula, which hasn't been implemented to the latter. What message do you give the relevant authorities?
Well, first of all, I want to first talk to Kenyans that we really appreciate the support that they have always offered on us. We support the Kenyans that have taken time just to feed our interns in wherever they are working at. And we hope that they'll be joining us in this fight in the near future. This is not a fight for the doctor, it's a fight for the Kenyans. When the doctor is touched, know that nobody is safe. When the doctor is stressed, suicidal, you are not safe. Ask yourself every day as you lay on that theater table in that hospital bed that, how safe is the doctor seeing me? Who cares for the carer? Who takes care of this guy? Have they been paid? Have they been fed? Have they been clothed? Secondly, I want to ask government that we were very happy when the current Kenya Kwanza government came to place, because we quickly flipped into their manifesto and we saw the clear and succinct articulation by the party on issues affecting healthcare. They talked about, we know the pain the healthcare workers go, will be a neutral arbiter. They talked about, we are going to fix the problem in healthcare. They talked about UHC. And we thought that, yes, and I know the president is really keen on the UHC. In fact, I can dare say that the only project that the president might ever talk about at the end of his term is just the UHC. And he has to do everything to make that UHC work. But UHC cannot work when the living pillar, the human resources for healthcare, is not addressed. The constitution talks about health being devolved. No, health is a shared function. But more importantly, the labor standards is a national function according to the constitution. So the Minister of Health, the national government cannot abdicate that duty to take care of healthcare workers. Okay. The governors are there for a very short period, very short-sighted visions around healthcare. But it is up to the Minister of Health and the President to look back and say that this UHC dream that we're having, how can it take off, this plane take off? Is the pilot, who is the doctor, well-equipped, well-motivated, well-trained to fly this plane? Otherwise, we'll be taking Kenyans to a journey to nowhere, where you'll be told that, no, it's just a normal turbulence, but yet the plane is going down because the pilot is long dead in the cockpit.
Okay, Dr. It would be injustice to let you go without speaking about your experience or the union's experience with SHA, SHIF, whichever way you call it, because the implementation is ongoing. The CS Health recently said up to 15.6 million Kenyans have been registered to the Social Health Authority. I'd like your take as a medic, because as you've said, the human resource angle is important if this health scheme is to be a success. What's your experience with SHIF?
So as a union, long before this law came into place, we had raised certain issues that we had flagged that was a problem. And I remember I came to this show and explained to Kenyans some of the gaps that we had flagged in that SHA. And we went to court about it, yeah? But somehow people didn't listen to us, because sometimes just because you're a union, nobody take in those ideas. And that's the turbulence you're seeing in the rolling out of the SHA. The idea is beautiful, that healthcare must be affordable to everyone.
True.
And Article 43 talks about right to healthcare, the highest standards. But there's nothing like free healthcare. Somebody must pay for that healthcare. And the oil government lean back the ask and say that, how do we pay? Because either you pay through taxes, or somebody pays from the pocket, or a private insurance, or social insurance. And the president thought it twice with this team that the contributory route, the insurance route, was the best option, the SHI. But we tell you that, no. In Kenya, 80% of people are informally employed. They cannot pay for this insurance unless they fall sick first. So they cannot go on a gari, you get an accident, then you go for insurance. So we told them that the only way to ensure that we have maximum cover, let's do it to the tax base.
Okay.
Where everybody, when you buy sugar, you're paying for something to healthcare. Yeah, as you pay for education through taxes and security through taxes, we never contribute at Mchango for policemen to be paid. You pay through taxes. Also fund healthcare through taxes. It was a better way. But that was not picked up. So the challenges are there, but the idea, I can assure Kenyans, is a very beautiful idea. If it finally takes root, which I know that already they're collecting almost 9 billion shillings in a month, and they have cleared even the October claims. My only worry is that they are all of a sudden pretending that they don't know about the debts of NHIF, that they'll just look for money to pay it later. But them, they are sure, they're clean, they have no debts at all. Come on. These are two different pockets of the same human being. So they have to find ways, because I know our members have suffered in the private hospitals and mission hospitals because they were fired. Some don't have salaries because they cannot afford to pay the workers. Suppliers have not been paid. And that's why you see the bishops are getting worked up, because Catholics have lots of faith-based hospitals.
Yes,
almost 9 billion plus is locked inside there.
Okay.
Money is owed. So we pray that we can get to a point that this plane can take off, but it must take off with the pilot, the healthcare worker. That 300 billion that they have to collect through SHIF, a part of it must be able to buy drugs, a part of it must build hospitals, a part of it must hire and pay workers.
So apart from taking a look at the human resource, is SHA working when it comes to the delays in, registration, the lagging time? Talk to us about that. It's
frustrating, because the other day I had a meeting with the CHPs in Nairobi, and they tell you that they have to use their phones. There are no bundles. The internet is slow. You can take 2 hours registering one person. So even so in the news that now even the hospital are telling them to go to private cyber cafes, then they're being robbed of their money, these poor patients. So the system is weak, I won't lie to you. And we wonder that what was so hard is just doing the NHIF system. Just tweak a few things here and there and work out option 2. Why don't you have like a relay race where as you come, another one is sitting, so that put a redundancy on, then when it finally takes shape, then you can take off with it.
Yeah, without the teething
yes,
problems.
Those are the things that we want. But don't force Kenyans on TV with PR insisting that this thing is working. Kenyans are going there and they're struggling. So you make somebody doubt their sanity when you tell them that it is working. 80% of Kenyans go to hospitals for outpatient cover. It might be working for the dialysis and the cancer patients and the inpatients, probably. But 80 to 90% of Kenyans go for outpatient, and they're telling you that they're struggling to get it in the outpatient. Let us listen to Kenya. This culture of not listening to Kenyans, not listening to the workers, not listening to the bishops, then who will you listen to?
Well, it seems they're trying to turn a new leaf, especially with MOH. Today they held a Kamkunji in Parliament, where members of Parliament actually gave their experiences and raised questions about their constituents and how they've felt SHA.
I get very frustrated when I see MPs calling the minister to talk about SHA. As healthcare stakeholders, we gave Parliament clear contribution, the public participation, or the challenges of SHA. We went to the health committee and told them the issues. And they still passed it. Then they come back and then they ask, oh, how does it work? Don't they know before they pass? Don't they read the law before they pass it? That some of these challenges, like for example, the mean testing instrument, where you're going to come to somebody's home and tell them that you have chicken and you have a motorcycle, pay 700 shillings, or 500. The next day the chicken is dead and the motorcycle, amegongwa na gari imeenda, and you're still telling them to pay 700. You have not helped them. You get that?
So the means testing is a problem.
And these MPs know this. They know the place they come from. They know that our economy is a Juakali economy. And they're not sorting it. Instead, they're just going to be told, implement, do this. We cannot PR our ways out of healthcare.
But you know, leadership is about giving solutions.
Yes.
Have you given solutions to government? Tell them as medical practitioners, look here, if you want this thing to be successful, this is what you need to do.
All you need to do is go to the YouTube and you'll find all the things we talked about. I have a document, a 25-page document that we did as a union. Analyzed and told them that these are the issues. The answer, that's what we presented as unions in this country. All these things you have done. The only problem is that these leave the government, that they don't listen. And this is what we keep on saying, that sometimes you cannot know it all. Sometimes all you just need to listen. Those who are in the kitchen knows how this pudding is tasting. They're telling you that this is how to fix this. Do you know the most embarrassing thing that turned up out of the SHA? That they could not pay Linda Mama for children under 18 years of age. We have teenage pregnancies, but we are told that to access Linda Mama or the SHA, you have to give your ID. 20% of pregnancies in Nairobi are under 18 pregnancies. And nobody thought about it. Yet we raised them that you can't tie it. I had a CHP in Kamkunji who told me that
they don't take birth certificates? Or?
They don't. Use an ID. We have a CHP in Kamkunji who told me that, yes, that they are struggling to register the foreigners, because in the law they say that they must have an indigent card, the alien card. But most of them in Kamkunji, in Gikomba, are somehow illegally around, and they're sick. But as I finish, I want to tell Kenyans that we are all potential patients. We are all going to die someday. If you're lucky, you die in your sleep. But otherwise, you'll die sick or an accident. Ask yourself that, are you protected enough when you get that accident? And don't think that as a middle class, you have an insurance privately, you're okay. The first place you'll go when you get an accident, God forbid, from Masai Mara, from holiday with your family, will be the nearest public hospital. Ask yourself, will you find a doctor there? Will you find drugs there? Or do you think that that insurance will save your life? Let us fight for public health care, because one day you might just need it and you'll wish you fought for better health care earlier. And I beg the government, please, we don't want to go on strike. But if it is that will take it for us to honor the agreement, so be it.
Well, he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. The doctors have given their take on a couple of issues, SHA implementation, and equally that 21-day strike notice that was issued today. So in case the government does not dot the I's, cross the T's in regards to the return to work formula, doctors will be downing their tools. Second time this year, an unprecedented move. We definitely hope for a solution before we get to that particular point. Daktari, thank you so much for your time. It's unfortunate we usually meet in such circumstances, but I can see the union work is pushing. Viva.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
The better days ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Asante sana, Daktari. Well, that is it for the discussion. Of course, we continue taking a look at other stories making headlines. Do we take a short break right now or we continue? Let's take that short break. We'll be back in a few.